Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 113 of the Seezus Show. It's your boy, Sir Seezus, and I'm back at it again with another fun-filled episode. I'm extremely excited to deliver this premium content to you guys, so I hope you really enjoy this episode that's coming up, which is episode 113 as well, too. So, you guys know I always like to rehash last week's episode or the previous episode, which was episode 112. It was myself, Sir Seezus, and Trader XXIV. And we flat out just gave our predictions for the NBA Finals. Now, Trey and I predicted both Suns and six rather, going up against the Milwaukee Bucks. But we also took into consideration that we didn't know the severity of Giannis's injury, so a lot of people have kind of been, coming back at me saying, "Oh, I told you this and this was going to happen." Shout out to Kate, but it is what it is. Nonetheless, we had a great finals championship. Great 6 games. Almost every game came down to the wire, I think, except for one. So nothing but respect for both teams, both organizations. It was nice to see something different because I think since like 2010 we only had LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant representing the East or the West as well too. So to see two new teams was quite a refresher, and I think we're going to see a new trend in these next couple of years where we don't necessarily see a dynasty. We may see a team have a back-to-back run, but I think it's going to be new teams almost every year, kind of, changing it up from either one conference or the other conference as well, too. So Trey couldn't be with us today, but, my brother who's been doing a pretty damn good job in the playoffs, filling in for him, D Sharp, is going to be joining us as well, too, in a little bit. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my boy, for my bro, D Sharp. Let's get it.
What's good, man? Happy to be back.
Yeah, man, it's been quite some time, man. We everybody missed you, bro. How you been, man?
Chilling, man. Relaxing, working, getting
I
these
know,
getting these bucks,
getting these bucks.
getting these bucks, man.
I was just telling everybody that Trey and I both predicted the Suns in 6, but we were wrong. And some people got on me about that as well too. But the reason why I said Suns in 6 is because there's a level of uncertainty with Giannis Antetokounmpo's injury. So that's why I said that. If he was fully healthy, then I would have had probably the Bucks in 7. But it is what it is, man. And yeah, you coming out to LA relatively pretty soon, right?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna tap in. I should be there this weekend. We can link up, man.
Okay,
It's
I
gonna
got
be
some.
good.
Okay, I got some activities planned for you, so we're gonna have a good time, man. So
Word up, man.
excited
Word
to
up.
get you out on the West Coast and all that. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be nothing but good vibes as well too. You ready to get into today's hottest topics?
Let's get it. What do you want
Cool.
to talk about?
I mean, there's only one thing to talk about right now. The NBA Finals, the 2021 NBA Finals just finished a couple of days ago. Matter of fact, today they had their little rally for the championship celebration in Milwaukee as well too. But the number 3 Bucks from the East, the representations from the East went up against the number 2 Suns, who represented the West as well too, and it was just a battle from start to finish as well. Ended up going 6 games. At first the Suns were up 2-0. People were ready to create this whole narrative that, Devin Booker was the second coming of Kobe Bryant. Chris Paul's finally going to get his flowers. Like everything just seemed like it was essentially made for the Clippers. I'm so sorry, not the Clippers, the Suns to win the championship as well too. And Giannis just went God mode, and he played relatively well. Ended up winning Finals MVP. So for the entire series, Giannis averaged 35 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal, and shot over 60% from the free throw line as well too. And he had some help along the way with Middleton averaging 24, Drew Holiday averaging 17, Brooke Lopez 12, Pat Cunningham, who was shooting lights out from Trey at 9 points. And then you had, your energizer buddy with Bobby Portis and others to go along the way as well too. And then you have from, the West, Booker played up to, his stats, actually elevated his stats as well too. Averaged 28 points, 28 points, 4 assists, 3.5 rebounds. Chris Paul, 22 points, 8 assists. DeAndre Ayton, 15 and 12 as well, too. And then Mikal Bridges, 12 points. Jay Crowder, 12 points. Cam Johnson, 9 points. So it was pretty even, honestly, all the way
For
through
sure.
from game one to game six as well. Game one, Phoenix won a little, I think about 13 points. Game two, Phoenix won by 10 points. Game three, Bucks won by 20. Game four, Bucks won by 6. Game five, Bucks won by I believe 4, and then game five to close it out, the Bucks won by 7 as well too. So it could have honestly went either way as well too. Um, but one thing I kind of want to talk about is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He played great. Like I said, going into the series, I really thought that being 7 foot, 240 pounds, and basically his game where his game is built off power and pure athleticism. I thought with that hyperextended knee injury that he really wasn't going to be able to essentially be in tip top form as well too. So that was the reason why I actually picked the Suns to win the six as well too, with the level of uncertainty and also the Suns also having home court advantage, being the more refreshed team. I thought they were gonna kind of work wonders as well too. Obviously, Dario Saric went down. Torrey Craig had some knee injuries as well too, so it really wasn't that effective. But it came down to a couple things: Giannis being dominant, Drew Holiday taking on that assignment to pressure CP3 from start to finish.
That was crazy.
Obviously, depth was a huge factor as well too, and you would think with the formula to take down Giannis, the Suns were going to be equipped for that. But when you really look at their personnel, especially with Saric going down and Craig going down as well too, they didn't necessarily have that formula to build that wall to essentially stop this team, or stop Giannis rather from getting to the paint as well too. So that was one thing as well. Like I said, Drew Holiday was another thing as well too. But Coach Bud just he basically took away, the other players in a sense as the series went on. He kind of was like, all right, we're not going to double Booker anymore. We're going to just force him to beat us and get everyone disengaged. We're going to force Chris Paul to kind of beat us and get everyone disengaged as well too. So that kind of worked wonders. But the Bucks played well. Their big three stepped up when it mattered the most. And I mean, obviously, with Giannis having that godlike closeout game, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, it was kind of just set up for them to win as well too. So I said this to our group chat. I said this to a lot of people who are converse with basketball as well too. That game three, when Giannis had to switch on to Devin Booker, close out the lane, and then have that instinct to turn around and block DeAndre Ayton's shot, I felt like that was the turning point of the series as well too. And I was speaking to Warren as well, and I was just like, "Yo, if Giannis doesn't get that block, Suns tie the game, and the whole momentum completely shifts as well too." I mean, obviously we don't know how things are going to pan out, but it's the little things like that can literally change the entirety of the series. You saw last round when the Suns were going up against the Clippers. PG missed those free throws. What if you don't miss
Mm-hmm.
that? Or if the referee calls the pulling of the jersey with Zubac on DeAndre Ayton, or if they'd have reviewed the DeAndre Ayton call, that all that happened in the same game, we don't know what how the course would have panned out as well too. So I thought that was the overall change of the series. But I mean, aside from that, it was pretty refreshing because I think since 2010, it's literally only been LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Kawhi Leonard all in the finals. So it's pretty nice to see a change of scenery as well too. And then from an international standpoint, with Giannis, representing the whole country of Greece as well too. We brought in more, so the numbers definitely spiked up as well. Players were able to get rest more than usual, as opposed to playing every other day as well too. So I thought it was pretty much of a success in the end. And at the end of the day, both teams, to get to the finals, they did what they had to do. Obviously, injuries played a huge part of it as well too. But you can only play who's in front of you as well. But nothing but respect from both sides, and nothing but respect for the Bucks. From the top down, and obviously Giannis doing what he got to do. But what were your whole thoughts on the entirety of this 6-game series?
Man, like everything you said, man, it was one of the best finals I've seen. I felt like the teams were somewhat evenly matched with star power. But at the end of the day, man, like I said, Giannis is different. Giannis is different, man. And he showed it. And he showed it. He showed his ability to run the floor, to block shots, make timeless baskets. And salute and the Bucks, man. They have Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. Very, to the casual NBA fans, they may not know who those players are, but they really good and they showed it, man. But overall, I'll say that this finals was very interesting, right? I like the emerging stars. I like Devin Booker. I like DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul. This was like a legacy tour for him to remind motherfuckers who he is. So it was what you love when you watch basketball, like two super competitive teams trying to win. And at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about that 7-footer who can just do everything. He can literally do everything. So I had the Bucks winning this series. If like when I found out that Giannis, there was a chance that he could come back and play, I was like, there's no way Giannis is going to lose this series. I don't see the Bucks losing this series. I don't see Giannis coming back from an injury and taking an L. So that's what it was. I just knew he was going to win. So
honestly as well too. So my next topic I kind of want to go to as well. Let's dive deep into this Giannis closeout game
yeah,
as well too. So this is probably, and I'm gonna ask you this as well too. And with my own two eyes, I started following basketball back when we were at Town Square Drive in Newport News with, obviously Iverson's from the 7-5. So seeing him in the finals, that, or seeing him go through the East and get to the finals, and he was able to beat him. I mean, at least get that one game down. Like that was the first time my own two eyes where I kind of understood the concept of basketball itself. But from, I guess that was what, 2001 all the way until 2021. So in my 20 years of watching basketball, as far as closeout games, that was probably the best closeout game I've ever seen, bro. Like that shit was crazy. Like it was actually ridiculous. He had 50 points, was 16 to 25 from the field, 33% from the 3-point line, 90% from the free throw line,
goddamn.
14 rebounds, had 5 blocks, had 2 assists, played 42 minutes as well too. And it's crazy because like during that time while he's just going off, not only this game, but he had 240 racks back to back in game 2 and 3. James Harden's name started resurfacing as well too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why is his name resurfacing? I had to remember. I was like, oh, okay. The reason why his name was resurfacing was because Rachel Nichols got a soundbite on him a couple years back. And basically he was saying like, Giannis doesn't have skill. I wish I could be 7 foot and just roam the floor and dunk the ball. Like I actually have to play basketball. It requires skill. So I know Giannis heard that chirping there. I know Giannis heard that chirping from KD when with what's his name, Jay Williams, the off the record. You're not supposed to, when something says in the media, when you say off the record, even though it's true, you ain't supposed to snitch and blurt all that out. So with KD talking shit, you hearing that from Harden, for him to get from there to there, it was pretty special as well too. And the thing is, it's the way in which he scored, right? Obviously, he was a man amongst boys. Like DeAndre Ayton looked like a little child compared to him as well too, but he literally scored in all facets of the game. He got in transition, he got to the basket, he scored in the mid range, he made a 3, and what was most shocking for me was he went 17 and 19 from the free throw line as well too, and then also all his blocks were like intimidation based blocks, and some of them even turned into turnovers, which led to transition points for the Bucks as well too. And then, like I said, 14 rebounds as well. So to be criticized for all of that and to basically respond and win for the city of Milwaukee, in which they haven't seen someone win, and I think since, who was it, Kareem, or was it Bill? Was it
No,
Kareem?
Yeah, Kareem and Oscar
Kareem
Robinson.
Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robinson.
Yeah.
That just speaks a lot as well too. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on his closeout performance, and was that to you the best closeout for a series for the finals that you've ever seen?
I mean, yeah, I mean, 50 piece is crazy, man. Um, I just think that it was sensational, man. Like everything you would want your star player to do, he did. He played his best game in the most important game of his young career. And you just gotta applaud that performance. He went 17 and 19 from the free throw line. That's something I don't think the Phoenix Suns even accounted for, right? That he was going to shoot like 90% from the free throw line. And he did that. And he got blocks and he got buckets and he got defensive stops. And Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton didn't shoot the ball that well throughout the game. But throughout that entire game, you just saw Giannis, I'm not losing. I'm not losing. And that was his mentality. And just to see a player be that aggressive after so many people have questioned his style of play. Some people call it ugly. Some people say it's unskillful. And just to be able to just be like, I don't care what anyone says. I'm about to go win, and we can talk about everything else later. That's hard. So you gotta tip your hat to Giannis in the Bucks for sure. It's I don't know. I think LeBron's game 7 against Golden State was tough because they came back from down 3-1. But I don't know if Bron had these type of numbers. And, I hear, the old heads talk about Magic Johnson's closeout game in the 80s. Michael Jordan
against the
the
Jazz.
Jazz. I mean, this is gonna be up there. We gotta go do the research. But Giannis, a 50-piece Chick-fil-A is crazy, man. That shit's crazy, man.
And it's crazy, like you said, and even Warren said too in the notes. He literally the next day went to Chick-fil-A, went on
For
IG
sure.
Live, and he said, "Can I get a 50 piece? Not
50 piece.
49, not 51,
50 piece.
50."
I need a 50
So that
piece.
was dope. Now another thing I want to talk about is like Giannis. Why like people fuck with Giannis, bro? Like, first of all, you already know we got that West African root in us as well too. So it's just natural to kind of gravitate towards him as well too. But what
For
I
sure.
told you countless times this week is like I've grown to love Giannis more and more and more is because one, he's humble. Two, he comes from nothing and made it out of something. Um, Three, he's a student of the game. You know what I'm saying? He may not be the best, but he's constantly working on his game. Four, I saw that video, man. When he's in practice, I think it's the Eastern Conference Finals. He's in practice and he's talking with PJ Tucker, and he basically said, "I done airball free throws.
For
I
sure.
done been booed.
For
I've been through
sure.
this and this and that. Like I done seen it all. I've been through it all. Like
And I've seen it
so
all.
so how can I really lose?" So that kind of stuck with me as well too, because when you think of someone who's fearless, the first person in the NBA you come to think of is the late Kobe Bryant as well too. And what I love about Giannis so much is he's not afraid to lose. He's not afraid to fail. Actually, he's not afraid to fail. Um, and I always try to find things to. Obviously, I'm motivated with him, but I always kind of try to find things to keep me well grounded, keep me motivated as well too. His whole run, just re-inspired me
Mm.
to truly believe that I can do anything if I set my mind to it. Now, obviously, he's 7 feet and whatnot, but there's a lot of
You
6'8"
6'5", man.
motherfuckers who ain't doing right. There's a lot of 6'8" plus motherfuckers who, on paper, you see them, this dude should be in the league, but it's all about your work ethic and your will to win, as well too. So for him to come from, you know, literally the bottom and be right here to mountaintop, it speaks volume for him as well too. And then, like I said, to overcome the obstacle. He literally has his Jordan moment. He got swept last year, like you said, in the bubble by the Miami Heat
Mm-hmm.
and got injured. He
Mm-hmm.
came back. He swept the Miami Heat in the first round.
Yeah.
Second round went on to take who a lot of people deem as, if you're not number one, number two best player on the planet, KD. And then third round, he did what he had to do, but he hyperextended his knee as well too when they finally cut their groove. and then he came back in the finals fully healthy, and he won Finals MVP and put up numbers as well too. So that's one of the reasons why I gravitate towards him as well too. And if you're a hater of Giannis, then something's just wrong with you as well too. So yesterday off air, um, I didn't even spark up this conversation. I got a couple crazy ass texts from this individual who I'm recording this podcast with right now. And this individual, D Sharp, went on to say that Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the NBA right now. Now, obviously, we had our dispute yesterday, but tell the American people, tell the viewers, tell the listeners, why did you come to that conclusion that Giannis is the best player in the NBA?
First of all, I don't care what people say, but I feel like if you win a championship and you're the best player on the championship team, you're the best player in the NBA for that upcoming season. The Milwaukee Bucks, they've been a top 3 team all year. They've been a contender. Giannis was an MVP front runner, a defensive player of the year front runner. This throughout the entire postseason, he put on great numbers. So for me, if you've been one of the best players throughout the regular season, throughout the postseason, and you win the championship having one of the greatest closeout performances in NBA history, I mean, what you want me to say? You want me to get a best player to somebody who ain't win the championship? That don't even sound right. I mean, you the best player on a championship team. Now, if you're talking about who's the most skillful player, that's a different story. If you talk about who the most decorated player, that's a different conversation. But for me, the best player is on the championship team. You got to reward people who win. So that's it. I mean, my personal favorite player is either Kevin Durant or LeBron James. But the best player in the NBA has the NBA championship. So until somebody knocked that throne off him, he the best player. If you don't like that, that's all right. We don't even listen to you anyway. So that's what it is, man.
I feel you. I mean, like you said, you say he's 26, right?
He's 26 years old, 2
26 years
MVPs,
old.
defensive player of the year, first team All NBA, first team All NBA defense. Representing Nigeria, West Africa, man. This man, I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say. Like what?
I mean, yeah, like you said, going through his accolades, 5-time All-Star,
I mean,
5-time
26.
All NBA, 4-time All Defensive, 2013-14 All Rookie. He was
Yeah,
just this past All-Star MVP.
yeah,
2019 Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time regular season MVP, and 2020-21 Finals MVP. Won a ring before Jordan, won a ring before KD, won a ring before LeBron. So he's kind of in a class of his own right now.
I mean,
And like people say, you don't really hit your prime until 28 to about 33. So he's definitely put the league on notice that I deserve to be in that upper echelon. And I can only literally get better from here. You know what I'm saying? I don't anticipate not really taking shots and whatnot, but Russ seems to not he hasn't developed the skill. He's still relying on his athleticism, but at least we're seeing the strides that Giannis is taking every year to improve and get better. So if he's going to be on that trajectory like a LeBron James, where LeBron James is respected as a shooter, respected on all 3 levels, and as far as scoring, obviously LeBron's been up and down his free throws, and obviously LeBron's IQ, just everything he brings to the game is just out of this world. But if he's on that trajectory, then it's just like it's over for y'all motherfuckers. Like it's going crazy. But like I said, this year was injury riddled. Obviously, you have to play who's in front of you as well too. So I get that. Um, and I mean that is one of the sayings, right? To be the best, you got to beat the best as well too.
for sure.
Last man standing, he is the champion. He could have won the MVP this year as well too, but the Bucks kind of went under the radar as well. And we always like narratives, right, when it comes to MVPs, as far as the last couple of years have been. But I'm not quite ready to say he's the best player in the NBA. Now, I think he's the most dominant player in the NBA. I think, when the season starts, I have to see how it pans out, how the playoff goes, and all that. All these things taken into consideration. He's definitely in that discussion as one of the best players, but I'm not quite ready to give him that yet as well too. Because if you go through, the battle of attrition, whatever you want to call it, as well. The last time I checked, he may be 36, about to turn 37. But there's a player on the West Coast that's in the city in which I reside at right now called LeBron James. LeBron James didn't have Anthony Davis. You know what I'm saying? If he had Anthony Davis, we would be saying something completely different as well too. Giannis was actually he had a blessing to have essentially his whole core with him from start to finish as well too, with the exception of DiVincenzo, who went out in the first round versus Miami as well too. But that he was out of there. So LeBron didn't get to fully plan out. You also have Kevin Durant, who actually with Kyrie Irving, his ankle, he rolled his ankle, and he actually stepped on Giannis' foot, went out after Game 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And James Harden tweaked his hamstring within the first 45 seconds of Game 1 in the second round versus the Bucks at home. So you had him limping. So I think Kevin Durant's still better than him from all three levels. I mean, if you put up the stats as well too, he leads them in points, he leads them in assists, he leads them in blocks, he leads them in steal, he leads them in field goal percentage from all levels. Probably in the paint, probably not, because he's more so of a mid-range savant as well. But I think KD's still better than him. I mean, if Giannis is saying that in interviews after interviews from this entire second round semifinals from Game 1 to 7 that he's the best player, then you have to assume he's the best player. So I still put him over there. I'm still going to put LeBron over him until proven otherwise. If LeBron gets taken down with a fully healthy squad, you can have it. You know what I'm saying? You can have it. And then also, I'm biased. You see what I'm wearing right here.
Let's see.
And you, other than me, we watched every single Clippers game from start to finish. We dissected every single game. And obviously, he fizzled out in the bubble, but for the most part, from round 1 to 2 in the bubble, with the exclusion of Game 7. Last time I checked, Kawhi is still a top 3 player in my eyes as well. And had he not got hurt against the Suns, I truly believe, and you believe this too, they would have had a great shot to beat the Suns if he didn't get hurt against Utah as well. And that team would have been a great matchup for Giannis as well too. I don't think Giannis is going for 40 racks and 50 rack as well too. Not to take nothing away from Giannis, but there's still 3 players and maybe even 4 if you want to count Steph, who I would rank over Giannis. But I wouldn't be mad if you put Giannis at number 2 or number 3. But right now, I'm gonna reserve my vote for him being number 1 right now. So that's kind of where I stand at with him right now. But like I said, if he continues to get better, in which I think he's going to be, this is going to be his league for the next half decade or whatever you want to call it as well too. As long as the organization can keep putting good pieces around him as well, and Drew and Middleton are there with him health wise as well, because they're only getting better every single year as well too. So I can see where you're coming from, but I'm not quite ready to give him that throne, give him that crown yet, even though he is the champion as well too. But we're gonna see how things kind of pan out the next year for sure. Another thing I want to talk about, we're almost done here with the podcast, is a lot of people always like to make jokes about Charles Barkley, right? Saying, he was a very dominant player. He went to a finals appearance and whatnot. But whenever he's on TNT, whenever he brings up something, someone always likes to make jokes that he didn't get a ring. So obviously you kind of know where I'm kind of going into with this topic right here. Did this finals loss kind of add a stain to CP3's legacy? I want to hear your thoughts on that.
So 2 things. There's 30-some teams in the NBA. every great player isn't going to win an NBA championship. There's a lot that goes into winning an NBA championship: organization, player development, management, being smart, right? There's a lot of things that a great player can't control. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I know people joke on Charles Barkley, but Charles Barkley was an all-time great player. And the
Yeah.
same thing with Chris Paul. There's a lot of things that go into someone's journey that is outside of their control. Chris Paul, without a championship ring, is still one of the greatest point guards we've ever seen. What player in a game that values super tall individuals, he's 5'11", 6 feet on a good day, played 16 years in the NBA. Not some people don't play 4 years in the NBA, and they be 7 feet tall. They don't play 4 years. He's 6 feet. He's been in the NBA for 16 years. Has been a winning player for 16 years. So for me, it's not an indictment on his legacy. It's more of, the NBA got really, really, really good players, great players. Look who he went up against. He went up against Drew Holiday. To like we said, to NBA casuals who don't know Drew Holiday real. Like, he's 6'4", athletic, phenomenal playmaker, phenomenal defender. I mean, if you know ball, you know how ill Drew Holiday is. If you know ball, you know how ill Chris Middleton is. And we just spoke about Giannis. Look at the players we just named. Not everybody's going to win a championship. It's unfortunate that great players don't win. One of my favorite players, Allen Iverson, doesn't have a ring. But we don't say, oh man, his legacy is tarnished. We say he went up against Kobe and Shaq. And nobody was fucking with Kobe and Shaq, man. Rest in peace, Kobe. So it's not an indictment of his legacy. And I think the conversation around rings and if a player wins, if a player doesn't, is the type of talk to me that kind of ruins basketball in a sense where we just so focus on players winning the championship, we forget the contributions that they made. So for me, Chris Paul is an all-time great. You got to put him up there. If you have a kid who's a 6', 6'4" point guard in that range or whatever size they are, and Chris Paul is holding a basketball clinic, you want your kid to go over there and learn how to play point guard from Chris Paul. So to me, there's nothing really you can really say. If he had a championship ring, that would be nice, but it wouldn't, to me, change my opinion on how great he's been throughout his career. That's
Yeah.
how I feel about it.
Honestly, yeah. Win or lose, if he would have won the championship or, obviously
Would
lost
have
the
been nice for
championship,
sure.
it would have been nice. It definitely would have, made him skyrocket in their all-time rankings list. But he's still, for me, obviously I didn't really watch people back in the day, but he's still a top 5 point guard of all time to me
Mm.
in general. So uh, it hurts a little bit because you saw how, you know, game 4 went. You saw how, yes, I mean, the other day, even in game 6 in the closeout, he had a relatively good first half, but it seemed like whenever you needed timely baskets to kind of cut the bleeding or anything like that, he just didn't leave his impact on the game. But
Mm.
at the end of the day, there's 5 players on the court. It's a team sport. There's a lot that goes into winning a championship as well too. So I'm not gonna be too upset about it. It hurts a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be something where we're like, oh my God, he didn't win a ring as well too, because we know what he's about. And like you said, he's impacted the game so much on and off the court, So yeah, we'll see. I mean, he looked like he still got a lot of basketball left, so it's going to be
He
interesting
do.
to see how things kind of pan out as well too. Another one I kind of want to talk to you about is this whole Kobe and Devin Booker comparison. Devin Booker came and really played relatively well. Struggled a couple games as well too, but like I said, he still averaged about 28 points per game as well too. I'm happy that he came out and said that you shouldn't compare me to X, Y, and Z. I mean, it's nice when players are coming up. We kind of want to. It's natural just to compare individuals as well too, but you have to, like you said, appreciate players for who they are and what they bring to the table as well. Now, I see certain flashes of the player he idolized in Kobe Bryant, but he's himself as well too. But I don't think people should compare him to Kobe Bryant. But the upside for Devin Booker, with the mentality, that dog mentality that he has, where he just wants to go out and seek blood. I think next year he's going to come back even more motivated as well too. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But what moves on? What I mean, what do you think that he has to improve on, going into the next season?
Um, uh, two things to talk about the Kobe point. I think, like you said, there's a lot of comparisons there because some of his moves, the similarities with his back to the basket, his two dribble pull up mid range, it's very similar to Kobe. So the and he's inspired by Kobe. So the first comparison they look to is Kobe Bryant. And the fact that people even are comparing him to Kobe Bryant is a testament to how much work he's put in, and how much, impact he's had in such a short period of time. He's a phenomenal player. Um, in terms of what I feel like Devin Booker needs to work on, I think one thing is just get stronger. Um, being able to play through some contact, more contact, I mean, but just get stronger. Uh, there's not a lot you can really say about a player that's that talented in terms of where to improve, but there's always something to get better at. Probably, shoot a higher clip, a percentage from the 3-point line, right? Um, but I would be nitpicking. I would be disvaluing his game if I said that, because he's a player that's always looking to get better. So he's going to get better. But yeah, man, and I think more so with the Suns, I think DeAndre Ayton is probably going to have to make that step, right? That step to the next level where he's not only a dominant defensive presence, but he's a dominant offensive player, right? Something like Tim Duncan, something modeled after that. And also the Suns may have to go out there and try to get another bucket getter. Someone when Devin Booker is not playing who could come and give you a 20 piece real quick. You know what I mean? Somebody like that. So I think for the Suns organization, if they want to continue to compete, because if you're looking at it from a realistic standpoint, and you're looking at it at all the players that got hurt this this postseason, Kawhi, Jamal Murray, Anthony Davis, if all of them are healthy, where do you realistically rank the Suns? And that's how the Suns have to view their team, right? If all of those teams are healthy, can we really beat the Lakers? Can we really beat um, the Clippers? Can we really beat um, the Nuggets, right? With a healthy Jamal Murray? And with the team, how it's currently constructed, I don't think they can. So they have to go out there, whether it be free agency, the draft, and try to get another bucket getter. So I don't think your Devin Booker can improve, but if he improves and the team doesn't improve, you're looking at a first or second round exit.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you as well. So he's only going to get better, like you said as well
For
too.
sure.
And then also we have to kind of figure out Chris Paul. He is getting a little bit older as well too. There's been rumors that or speculation, or I guess what if scenarios or whatever
Mm-hmm.
hypotheticals, where they're saying, "Yo, like what if he ends up trying to team up with LeBron or whatnot as well too." I don't think you get to the finals like this and lose in that fashion, and you kind of just want to switch teams as well too. But I did hear that he was trying to get 30 mil a year. Now, knowing his age, knowing his injury history as well, if I'm in the front office, I'm like, yo, instead of giving you 30 mil, let's give you 20 to 24. And then, like you said, because we're gonna have to pay DeAndre Ayton, right? We still have Bridges and we still have Cam Johnson who are on their rookie deals. So let's pay DeAndre Ayton. Let's give you a little less than what you asked for, and let's go out and get that bucket getter that we need as well too. And then if Sark is healthy, and we bank on Cameron Johnson playing well, because with Cam Johnson, I think he can. I'm not gonna, OD and whatnot, but he's a natural shooter. He's 6'8". He showed flashes of him being capable of being an above average defender as well too. Especially with Mikal Bridges, he looks like he could be like a Chris Middleton when it's all said and done as well too. So I'm banking on their core getting better. So Mike, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and like you said, DeAndre Ayton being more for his plan. I think they need to talk to them this offseason, tell them what they need to work on, and like you said, stress DeAndre Ayton be the number two option. Let Chris Paul take a step back as well too. We know what he can do, but let these young players actually become who we think that they can become. And I think, like you said, they can potentially be in the mix as well too. Because like you said, when all these motherfuckers come back, no one's really saying the Suns are the favorites right now. You know what I'm saying? We
No.
don't know what Golden State's gonna do with those two picks. We don't know exactly what a partial ACL tear, how the Clippers are gonna look. AD's gonna come back fully healthy and probably change up his entire workout regimen, and what he consumes in his body as well too. Jamal Murray might be back as well. Donovan Mitchell looks like he has a chip on his shoulder as well too. Luca, they just got Jason Kidd. You know what I'm saying? Porzingis really wasn't utilized in the offense. We don't know if he's going to come back and be more, featured, or they're going to go out and, try to flip him. There's a lot of moving pieces in the West as well, too. So, like you said, you can't be insane and do something over and over again and expect the same results. So we definitely need to see something shaken up or just improvement of their players taking the next step. And I think, you know, it seems like all of them are on that same page, and the fact that they kind of overachieved in a sense and got to the finals, they kind of see the blueprint of what it takes to be back to where they're at. I think
Yeah.
they're going to be doing well next year as well too. So I agree with everything that you said as well. Um, do you think the Bucks can repeat next season?
Ooh,
At
that's a
least
good
get to the
question.
finals again?
I mean, I think they can. I think they got the championship DNA now. But the Nets, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, the greatest display of offensive talents we ever seen. If they healthy, that's gonna be tough. If they're healthy, that's gonna be tough. I think the Nets would probably how a team goes into the postseason, like health is always the priority. But if the Nets are healthy, that's going to be one of the ultimate tests for the Bucks and pretty much any other team, because what you do with three players that can give you 30, all of them can give you 30. So I think since the Bucks have championship DNA, and like we mentioned, Giannis is only getting better, Chris Middleton is only getting better, and their core is still in their prime, I think they should be the favorite. And what moves they make this offseason to get better, they're going to get DiVincenzo back next year. So that's something to be uh, look out for the Bucks. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. There's a lot of what happens with Philly. Does Ben Simmons get traded out of Philly and Dame come there? It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. So I think right now you got to give the Bucks the benefit of the doubt because they're the defending champion and all their players are still relatively young and they're getting another starter back. So I'm gonna give the Bucks the nod now. But the Nets, KD KD almost beat them if he wore a size 16 instead of his big ass feet. So we gonna see.
Yeah, we're gonna see. I definitely think they can definitely go back as well too. Like you said, if Giannis improves and their core, now that they have championship DNA, I mean, it also comes down, like you said, to health, to who's basically clicking at that moment, role players stepping up, the assignments, as far as defensive adjustments being made. There's a lot of things to take in consideration, but I wouldn't rule them out. But like you said,
Mm-hmm.
if we're choosing both sides of prematurely, obviously we have to see how things pan out with free agency and trades and draft and all that shit. Um, I'm choosing the Nets in the East, fully healthy, and I'm choosing the Lakers in the West, fully healthy, because Kawhi Leonard has that partial ACL tear. So I feel like knowing his record, I don't think he's coming back next season as well too. And Jamal Murray got hurt in April. I don't think he's coming back next season as well too. So I can see a scenario where the Suns can come back, but I just feel like LeBron James still got one more finals run left in him as well too. So my early favorites would probably be the Lakers versus the Nets as well too. But like you said, a lot of teams are going to be coming back hungry, and now I think we're kind of seeing this shift now where like we don't see that quote unquote dominance like how it was with the Warriors dynasty and
Yeah.
how LeBron kept going. I think it's going to be, you got to take everything into consideration. I feel like we may see a team that goes back to back one year, but I feel like we're going to see a different matchup for the next couple of years, which is exciting for the league as well too as well. So Obviously, the draft coming up next week as well. And that's going to be something to kind of look out for as well. Free agency is
Mhm.
about to take place as well. So a lot of things that look promising as well too. So that was episode 113. Any last words?
Man, shout out to you, man. It's been a pleasure being able to just rock it and kick it with you during this NBA postseason, talk basketball. Man, it's been dope, man. Shout out to the Seezus Show. If you're a fan of the show, cop some merch. If you're a fan of the show, subscribe, follow, and support. We love everything you do, man. Keep it rocking, man.
For sure. Bucks and six.
You already know what
Bucks
time
and
it is.
six. Bucks and
You already
six.
know.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 113 of the Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at Sir Seezus, at the Seezus Show, at TraderXXIV, D Sharp 007.